What is going on, everybody? You're thinking to yourself, what the hell is ABJ doing? Well, ABJ is joining the mainstream pro wrestling conversations. Don't know how consistent this is going to be, how often this is going to be. If I can't do watch longs, I'll definitely try to do show reviews and break things down. Don't know why that's there. Let's get rid of that stupid banner. Thank you. Thank you, StreamYard. But tonight we'll be doing a full breakdown of our takes and opinions on the NXT AEW debate. Join us in the chat if you think one show was better than the other. Not expecting a huge audience tonight. I didn't even share this out, so this is going to go live, go out to the masses. Hopefully we get some good engagement, get some good conversation going. But the biggest thing is let us know what you thought between NXT, AEW. Right now, this would be live if it was on, and it's not. So if you're not a baseball fan, who cares about baseball? Let's talk pro wrestling. So join us in the chat. Let us know you're here. Say what's up. I have a guest joining me tonight. All his links are below. So if you want to go and support him, he's going to be joining me tonight. I'm going to have a rotating guest of people who may or may not be joining in. Maybe we'll even open the doors for people to join in with us at some point in time in this conversation. We're going to be live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and as well Twitch. We're going to give Twitch another run for its money here. But let us know in the chat if you're here. First and foremost, we got Hunter on YouTube side saying what's going on, and Hyper, our TTV Hyper, joining us. Am I going to be at the Sanctuary Friday? Yes, I will be. First Friday, we'll be there. So I won't be doing any live SmackDown or Rampage, but I will come home and I will watch it, and maybe we'll do another review. Just putting it out there. More will be coming, more show reviews. I figured I'm going to enter the space of talking the mainstream professional wrestling side of things, and hopefully people enjoy it. If not, then it was worth a shot. But just trying anything to get some views and some watch hours, because this seems to be the way to do it. But we'll make it work and have some fun here along the way. But without further ado, let me bring in my guest in for tonight. He is a content creator as well, trying to get his feet wet, joining in the space here. The Dark Wolf himself, Raz.
Hello.
So just as a little preview here, this is what we got going on, Raz. I already have it kind of set up. So if I do a show review for Friday, boom, there it is. Ooh. You know what I mean? This guy's doing things over here, and then if it's a watch along, boom, got it. Show review, boom. We got things going here. We're moving. We're gonna try some new things out on the channel. I am going to try.
In all fairness, you're actually seeing the new. You're seeing a preview of the new layout for when I go live as well.
There you go. So we got NXT, we got AEW. I will start off by saying the way this all kind of came about is there's professional baseball on. It's playoff season, so everyone's kind of joining in and finding out what's going on. AEW had to move their show because baseball season takes precedence on certain networks. So they went to a Tuesday to do their Dynamite. And it was Tony Khan's birthday. They tried to make it a big deal. NXT is that is their night. So they've kind of crossed over real quick. Steven in the chat. What's going on, Steven? Steven Chambers, double back-to-back Stevens. And we got some Jake the Tribal Chief hanging out with us. So we had a little bit of NXT feeling some type of way that AEW is going to be in their backyard. They have went head-to-head before. It did not work out too well for NXT, hence why Triple H was stripped of everything, and Vince McMahon took back over the company and said, no, you lost. This is how this is going to go down. Now, retrospect in future times, Vince is no longer in charge, as of what they're saying. Triple H is in full creative. TKO now owns the WWE brand and not the McMahon family. So a lot to process here on this brand new show. Will the landscape of WWE change going into tonight? Will things change? My opinion, first off the bat, did not change whatsoever. But we'll cover that fully. Before we get any further in, if you are watching live, let us know in the chat going into that show. Who were you leaning more towards? Who were you more excited to watch? Were you more excited to see the AEW side of things? Were you excited to see the NXT side of things? And let us know why, and we'll put your stuff up in the chat. But Raz, I would say I mean, for me personally, I enjoy all professional wrestling. I try to watch a little bit of everything. I will be completely transparent and honest. WWE side of weekly television has fallen off for me. Not because I just don't have live TV and that I'm struggling to find ways to watch it, but I just don't find a reason. They don't have a reason for me to keep staying in the pocket and watching week to week to week to week when it comes to the WWE side of things. I just feel like it's rewash. I feel like it's at that point where it's kind of stale for me. And it reminds me of when I first started doing the Tornado Tag podcast, where Raw was just kind of boring, man. Like you knew the storylines that were going to lead to a pay-per-view. You got mixed matches of like, hey, this tag team's going to fight this tag team. So we have to do one-on-ones and then mixing that up. And then people are going to jump in. And it's just a jumble of that leading into the pay-per-view, where AEW kind of treats their shows a little differently. They have a great way of doing the storylines, but then they also put matches together that you're like, oh my God, that's a matchup we've never seen before. There's no rhyme or reason for it, just other than they're both talented and it's never been done. And it kind of gives that talent opportunities to say, hey, me and you never worked each other. Let's get it done on a Wednesday night. And it's going to be great for the fans and it's going to be great for us. So AEW to me has that independent feel with a budget, kind of like ROH in its charm days, kind of like NXT in its charm days, where it was like no one's really paying attention, and what the idea of wrestling is kind of thrown out the window, and you have more leeway to go have more fun. That's why I prefer the AEW side of things. I understand why people like either side. There's no right or wrong answer, but that's why. Stephen Paul in the chat says, I was personally impressed with AEW and how they're growing, but I will always be a WWE guy at heart. And that's what it is. It comes down to brand loyalty, and it comes down to what you're used to consuming as a pro wrestling fan.
I mean, you're not wrong there, ABJ. You're definitely not wrong. And look, back in the day, was a WCW guy.
Yeah, I wasn't. I did not want anything to do with WCW. I was WWE brand loyal.
I was WCW guy. I wasn't really a massive fan of WWE. I jumped over to WWE during the Attitude Era, late 90s. Like I did watch WWE in 99, 2000 and stuff a bit more than I was watching WCW. Mm-hmm. But that's essentially what this is again, is WCW, WWE. There is tribalism, unfortunately. There always is in the professional wrestling industry. And I think last night proved that we have competition here, because NXT or WWE had to stack the deck to help bring those numbers up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, that's kind of that's going to be my overall arc of this show is, well, why did one do better than the other? Because the numbers are in, and NXT had a way bigger draw than AEW. I think it was 900,000 to 600,000. So
yeah, it was like NXT, 921 to 609 or something.
Yeah, but also, if you really look at those rating numbers, they're kind of skewed. It's kind of, they're not always super accurate, but it is what it is. Numbers don't lie, and all liars use numbers. NXT won. They won. They were the better show, right? They clearly
look last week AEW lost viewers because of the TBS scheduling situation, where it said that it was on at 4:00 in the afternoon instead of being on at 8:00 at night.
Yeah. So
I think this jump to Tuesday definitely did affect the AEW brand. I think if it had been on tonight and NXT had jumped over tonight, be a completely different story.
Yeah. I will say this, as a fan, I do like watching NXT. I'm kind of, I'm not a weekly watcher, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be something I'm not, but NXT is a brand that I enjoyed watching a little more than I did watching the Monday Night Raw and NXT, even since the Color Splash days when people didn't like it. I kind of liked it because it reminded me of, like, once again, an independent show where it was like, yo, here's some talent that in the next 5 to 10 years are going to be the next people that are going to be taking over this business, and they're going to be good. I like that vibe of following a talent when they're young and growing with them. And NXT scratches that itch for me. I like that. I like that it's in a closed environment space where there's only like 400 to 500 people, if you're lucky, watching it. They're invested in the product. They cheer. They understand the storylines. It makes it feel better instead of traveling all over the country with it, where people may or may not be into the product. I think that's a good move.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a company that doesn't travel and doesn't do that. So I are working in smaller venues, so your crowd's more into it and it doesn't look as empty. Personally, maybe AEW should scale back some of their venues and go to smaller venues and pack them in and make it more challenging to go to an AEW show. You know what I mean? Like that might be something they have to do, because they're having some difficulties filling up these larger arenas. They're still, you know, I mean, there's a lot still going on over there.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, you are always taking on the bigger
we
brand.
Went to Wembley,
Yeah.
so we were
biggest drawing crowd. Yeah.
So we were at the biggest drawing crowd they have, or they've had
as a company.
And
yes.
That was because, as I've said previously, that's because it was an international market.
Yeah.
They went overseas. They drew a crowd from an international market. In America, you guys are ultimately spoiled with your options of going to events. You've got WWE traveling weekly. You've got AEW traveling weekly. You've got Impact, who are a regular in their area. But you're more spoiled in the fact that you guys can go to different shows at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas international markets, you don't get that.
Yeah.
Like here in Australia is a fine freaking example. The reason the Perth show is going to sell out is because it's the first time in like 6 or 7 years or something that WWE has been here, and it's a market that they haven't attended for a long time. They haven't gone to Perth for almost forever.
Yeah, and they have a lot of Australian stars now in their company, and it makes sense for them to showcase that talent over there. But yeah, so let's kind of dive into this and find out what show is better. We have we'll kind of get to more of our takes towards the end here, and if Raz can't stay for the whole time, that's fine. This was kind of spur of the moment and figure out what we got here, but we are going to start off with Cody Rhodes going to make his debut out to the ring for the first time ever in NXT. NXT went with did not have a special.
Technically, he was with NXT when he was doing with the original concept of NXT, where they would bring them in and just showcase them on like Raw and SmackDown and stuff.
Yeah, they didn't have. What it said, they had John Cena appear at the Performance Center for the first time, standing in the corner of Carmella Hayes for his match with Braun Breaker. Paul Heyman will be in the corner of Breaker. Cody Rhodes made a major announcement opening the show for its first 30 minutes of commercial free. They both went commercial free for the first half hour of the show. And then Cody's announcement essentially was the Dusty Classic for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the main event of the show, or I think it was, no, not the main event of the show, a title match between Dominic and Ilya.
But the thing is right now there's a women's showcase to find out who's going to go for the title. The Dusty Classic was a tag team tournament for the longest time. Now it's going to be a solo men's tournament.
I think they're doing both. I think they're doing a tag team and a men's tournament.
Okay, because they said it's going to be a men's breakout tournament. So that's why I was wondering if it's going to be more just a solo men's tournament now, like the women are doing, or are they going to stick with the tag team side of things?
I think he announced too, because I remember watching and they said they're gonna do the men's breakout tournament, and then he announced the Dusty Classic.
Yeah, well, I think the men's breakout tournament is. Oh yeah, okay. So all right. So that's what they're doing. They're doing a men's tournament and a Dusty Classic. That makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they didn't have like graphics or anything up for what I can see. Because like I said, bouncing forth.
I think they would have had graphics for that. Like you would have. If it was me, and you're wanting to promote something like that, you'd want graphics for it. So
yeah. And then he also announced that he's the general manager for tonight's show, and then Dragunov come out to show some respect to the American Nightmare Dusty Rhodes, and then they were joined by Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, who then challenged Dragunov and for the NXT title match. Cody Rhodes said, kind of teased that it might be a title versus title, but then that didn't happen. So then we got just the title match tonight, Dominic versus Dragunov with special guest referee LA Knight. So there's your 3 big hitters already. You got Cody outside, from the outside coming in. You got Paul Heyman and John Cena, and then you have LA Knight, which is going to be on the show. None of them. None of them are.
Probably
well, Dominic is a main roster guy, but he has been down at NXT for a couple weeks now, and he is your current North American champion. So, but also Rhea Ripley, but she's been kind of showing up down there well. So Judgment Day kind of being on NXT is cool, but it's something we've seen for a couple weeks now. But we're kind of going based off if you're watching tonight live for a first time ever, you're a first time fan, maybe you don't watch NXT on a regular basis, but you're being drawn in. There's some of the reasons why. John Cena. And those names that we just said. So that's kind of what we got. It was for the first 30 minutes commercial free. About 15 to 20 were eaten up with this promo.
100%. Yeah. Because I had that on in the background when we were watching Dynamite. Because I had Dynamite on, obviously. Then I had NXT on in the background.
Yeah. NXT started off their night a little differently. They decided they were going to go. Oh, I'm sorry. AEW decided they start off a little differently. They went on at 7:30 instead of at 8. And they did a Ring of Honor and New Japan Strong Openweight Championship title fight with Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki. It is a match that we have seen before. I believe it was a pay-per-view match when they fought before. Yeah. Suzuki's up there in age, but it's still, he's a great name. He's a Japanese legend. But once again, if you're a pro WWE person, maybe Suzuki's not for you, or Eddie Kingston may not be your thing. I get it, but I enjoy both of them. They didn't do anything storyline wise. They didn't do anything different than what they really did during their pay-per-view match. They went out, they did their slaps and their chops, beat the garbage out of each other, invoked emotion in the match. Eddie Kingston doing Eddie Kingston things. He's going to retain and beat Suzuki. They also had some stuff going on where Renee and I always forget the other dude's name, but they kind of did like a pre-show type deal. AEW showing off a little bit of a pre-show feel before the show starts. And that's the half hour before you get anything. That was
before you get
YouTube
the
exclusive
to their show.
And a YouTube exclusive. So before the show even starts, AEW is giving us a title fight, which is a match, but it we'll just say it wasn't part of the time slot, so we won't count it. But
if you pull the viewer numbers, it pulled viewers.
Yeah,
it pulled viewers on Facebook.
Tonight, regardless of what company you were rooting for or not rooting for, it is the most scrutinized night of wrestling in a long time, because this is where tribalism is going to shine the strongest, and people are going to say, well, this is why, and everything that they see on TV, they're going to be like, nope, don't care if I like it, still hate it, it's not my brand. And that's essentially what we are. For a wrestling community, that struggles to get more people to be wrestling fans, and a community that gets people to want to grow. And like for me on the independent side of things, like the more wrestling gets seen and the more wrestling gets understood and the more wrestling gets accepted, more than just what the big guys are doing in WWE, it makes more money for us on the independent scene, and we can grow, and then they could be the next people to move up. But when it becomes super tribalism like that, and everything, if you're an outside person and listen to wrestling people talk, they're like, why would I join that? You guys are super toxic. You know what I mean?
And look, there's the factor of if it grows, there's more work available for everyone.
Absolutely. And look at the recent budget releases. WWE just cut 10 people that now can possibly go and find more work because wrestling is thriving.
And your next favorite superstar is somewhere out there. It's somewhere on that independent scene, working their ass off in the grind to get to that level where they can be showcased on a Raw, on a SmackDown, on an NXT, on a Dynamite, on Collision, on Rampage, hell, even on Impact, whatever.
MLW, GCW, it's all out there.
They're all working their asses off to get to that level where they can finally have potentially a stable job.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that too, is like you're getting to a point now where some people go, well, maybe the end result isn't a WWE, because WWE openly said, like, hey, our doors are closed to independent wrestlers now. We only want college athletes. We only want this. We only want that. And no matter how hard you work on the independent scene, we're not going to reward you and bring you into our company with a name and a gimmick that you created on your own and then come up here and use it here. So, like,
Yep.
for someone who's grinding on the independent scene, like, sure, you would want to go there, but you're going to have to reinvent yourself. You're going to have to change your look. Everything about you that made you special for all those years you put in gets erased from you. And then you kind of look at yourself and go, well, AEW is there. And even if they don't have room for me, like, they made the blueprint. They made the blueprint of, you can make your own thing. Or if there's enough of us out here, somebody with a budget can turn around and make another company. And if we keep working hard, that's a possibility as well, that it opens up a lot of doors. But anyway,
a fine example with that is like Cody.
Yeah.
He got cut from the WWE system. Like, he left the WWE system. He made a name for himself out of that system. He made himself from Stardust, the mid-card gimmick, to one of the biggest stars in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
outside of the WWE universe, outside of the WWE programming. He went to ROH, he went to Impact, he went to New Japan, he went to all these little independent companies and just worked his ass off to make that name. And look at him now. He's come back into WWE, a bigger star than when he left.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the first thing that we've seen on AEW. Show starts, and immediately they're going to do exactly what their intention would do. They're calling this Title Tuesday, so they're leaning on, I guess, their new signing of Edge, but they're also saying tonight's a title night. Titles are on the line. Titles will be defended. You're going to see professional wrestling, and they start off right away with an absolute crazy match for the number one contenders match for the TNT Championship, with Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson. Winner gets a shot at Christian, who is now in a little bit of a feud with the returning Adam Copeland. But this was an insane match. I mean, it's Bryan Danielson, it's Swerve Strickland. They're two of the top guys in the company, and they're going to go one-on-one tonight. The match was great back and forth all the way through. And we got a little bit of a tainted victory for Danielson, because Prince Nana is going to get involved. Hangman Adam Page is going to get involved, which caused a distraction, which allowed Danielson to hit the knee. And, but Strickland went out there and shown that, he's a top dude, man. And he's really, really good. And he hung with Bryan Danielson, and it was fantastic. It was a great match. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and give it a score, but it was a top-notch match.
Look, a lot of people are complaining that Swerve didn't win that match.
Yeah.
But I don't think he needed to. I think the fact that they continued the story with Hangman worked brilliantly in their favor, because it showed at the end of the night, like the end of the night with the roster brawl, it intertwined the stories.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So this is going to be this is where I attach myself as a wrestling fan, because this is weekly television. This is not a go home show for a pay-per-view. Your objective is to make people tune in next week, right? So 15-minute promo of telling us the main event for that night, and setting a flow of a show, which is good. Setting a flow of a show is fine. Which is, nothing wrong with that. So props to AEW for doing that. But if you're watching two wrestling companies head to head that night, one hits you with a match and one hits you with your first 30 minutes of your commercial free on a promo. Take that how you want. I'm not trying to sway you, but it is what it is. And the other show is going to show you two top guys in this company. Now, some people say, well, Swerve is your upcoming rising star. He lost. That's a big deal. But what it did is Hangman Adam Page get involved. That continues a story. So that tells you, okay, something's happening next week with these two. I'm interested. That Swerve Strickland guy's really good. What's going on here? And this guy, Hangman Adam Page, who maybe if you don't know, why is he involved? Who is this guy? Is he even good? Who is this guy? Right? To be determined.
He was previously a world champion. So,
well, we're gonna go as if you didn't know this company before, right? Yep. So that's your mindset right here. That's what I'm trying to give it from that angle. So promo happens, everything's cool. we're setting everything up. We get our first match of the night, one of the first heavy hitters on the NXT side of things. We're going to get Roxanne Perez versus the former NXT Women's Champion. Asuka is going to come down, and they're going to have a match. They fought for a while. Roxanne Perez obviously is just going to get absolutely manhandled by Asuka, outmatched 3-1. She's hitting her with kicks. She's crushing her with everything. And it's a 1-2-3, no problem here. Asuka's going to get the victory. Also, Shotzi comes out and does some commentary for this match. But it was a really, I'm going to be honest, it was a shorter feeling match. It didn't feel that either one of them working on a higher level. I think they said the match went 5 to 6 minutes. And you have to realize too, leading into this match, your 5 takeaways that you were excited for tonight, or you were supposed to be excited, was Cody, John Cena, Paul Heyman, Cody's announcement, if that was a thing. And the only match that was hyped up was Asuka going down to fight. So Asuka goes down to fight. She gets 6 minutes. And then the takeaway is at the end, they have some involvement with some outside talent. Once again, if I don't know the company, I don't know their names. So she comes out and Shotzi puts over that she's going to be hosting Halloween Havoc. And then I'm trying to think, like, whoever showed up to interfere, they got beat up by Asuka too. So Asuka looks like an absolute superstar. She's the big main roster girl coming down, and she just essentially just destroys in a 6-minute match the homegrown talent of NXT of Roxanne Perez.
The talent that you're trying to build up for us to care about. And this is the thing, like, you're trying to get us to care about it. You're trying to get us to want to tune in next week to see Roxanne Perez or these homegrown talents or these young talents put on showcases. You're wanting us to tune in to do that and see that. But then you bring in someone from the main roster, only to
Raz having a little connection issues. We'll stick on the NXT side of things. So they jump in. There was probably more promos in here because most of the night, I'm not going to go through every single promo that happened on either show. I'm sticking more to the wrestling side of things. But NXT had more backstage stuff and promos and just bits of like, hey, look who's here, this, and that. I'm going to stick to more of the wrestling side. We're going to get a pub rules match. The Brawling Brutes and Tyler Bate versus Gallus. So your Brawling Brutes are going to be Rich Holland and Butch, who are main roster guys with Sheamus, and then Tyler Bate's going to join them to take on another trio team with Wolfgang, Mark Kofi, and Joe Kofi. I guess that's Gallus. For them. Kofi, this is a brawling match, and that if you've seen a pub style match on NXT or WWE. It's just like a gimmicky hardcore match where
it's a hardcore match. Just they bring a beer out maybe at one point. Which they did in that show. Like,
people love them. When people watch them, they love them. They're not for me. But it was a very highly like, people really enjoyed the match. They gave it high regards, high thing. But once again, your 2 main roster guys teamed with your NXT star Tyler Bate are going to get the win here. So Gallus takes the pinfall. Both teams hyped each other up before the match backstage. Gallus attacked them before the match even started. We had a stab in the hand from a dart. This bout had a commercial break about 60 seconds into the match. I think they said all 3 faces simultaneously beat them. And then the heels later, they all got submissions at the same time, working smoothly together. Bate barely saved Butch from a 3 count as he took Gallus's team finish. But your NXT stars, once again, are going to take the fall here to the main roster guys.
Yep. And over on AEW, we had Jericho versus Hobbs.
Yep. This is a spillover from last week. Jericho, Hobbs made his return, and not only did he return, but he joined the team of Don Callis. So the Hall of Famer is going to take on the uprising guy. Hobbs defeats Jericho in a pretty good showcase, beats the absolute garbage out of him, beats him up after the match, puts Jericho in a rough position. And yeah, Jericho
Sends
not
him to the
looking good.
hospital. Yep.
Sends him to the hospital. We find out later in the night he's hurt really, really bad. Jericho looks like he's going to take some time away from the company and maybe go on tour. But Hobbs looks real strong tonight.
And Hobbs beat him cleanly.
Yeah, clean win. Just went out there and powerhoused him. Then we got a little bit of a promo on the AEW side. The only reason I'm going to bring it up because it is the top two guys in the company. Adam Cole is doing this whole bit with the Kingdom, and Roderick Strong and MJF is involved in that as well. Fine promo. If you're into the story, you'll love it. If you're never watched and you're only watching because you're going to see what's going on, maybe you're confused. So we'll stick over on the AEW side of things. We're going to get our first, if you're didn't watch the pre-show, second if you did, title match tonight with the International Championship on the line. It's supposed to be Jon Moxley versus Rey Fenix. It's announced that Jon Moxley is not medically cleared to compete. Orange Cassidy is going to step in as a challenger for Rey Fenix. This is the title that Orange Cassidy has legitimized and has made the work rate title of AEW, almost like their Intercontinental Championship of AEW, with a huge showcase. So Orange Cassidy's going to come out here and he's going to work his match against Rey Fenix, which is exciting because Orange Cassidy is not doing the hands in the pocket. He's not doing the lazy gimmick. He's not doing the what people are known to see from Orange Cassidy.
Yeah,
he's motivated. He wants his title back, and he comes out swinging immediately to Rey Fenix.
Yeah, and it was a strong match. It was definitely an Orange Cassidy match. But it was him focused, and I love the fact that they played on the fact of Fenix being in pain from like a back injury or a supposed back injury, and that's one thing I've noticed with AEW. If a wrestler is working hurt, or in italics, working hurt, they keep it in the story. They keep it in the story. They don't just go, okay, they're hurt, we'll take them off TV for the next 5 months and then bring them back. Yeah. They'll work it into the story.
A WWE working hurt story, this is where they'll differ. Say somebody comes out and gets hit with a chair on Monday Night Raw. That chair shot will last a couple weeks because they took a really bad beating, and that'll stick through. Where AEW is like, no, they got hurt during a match because they go hard on their matches. They do crazier bumps and spots that you normally don't see because WWE doesn't do those spots in their matches. And then those guys like Orange Cassidy worked progressively hurt the entire time because every week he was working and taking a beating and really putting his body on the line. So every title defense, he was more taped up. He was more injured. It built to the story of he was fighting through the roster. It's cool how they kind of do that. Yeah. And it led to Cassidy working through a lot of roster every single week, really, really exhausted, really, really tired, went to Wembley, was in a street fight in Wembley, got his ass kicked, went crazy on that fight, then came into Chicago versus Jon Moxley, who's the baddest dude in the company. He beats the dog shit out of him, and Orange Cassidy finally drops his title. Rey Fenix goes in and legitimately hurts Jon Moxley. They have to do a swerve. Rey Fenix wins the title, but then Rey Fenix gets hurt in a triple tag team match the next week. Has to be taken to the back for an injury. Then he has to defend his title next week against Orange Cassidy, who now had a couple weeks to rest up. So it's almost like a legitimate fight, right? So like you're injured, and we might have an actual fight here where, you know, in any given day you may always beat me, but now I see you're injured and you're not 100%. I want my title shot, and then I go out and win it. It legitimizes the fight a little more, which is kind of cool that they do that.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're definitely not wrong there. Like it legitimizes the fight. It legitimizes the way they've been working as well. Like, as you said, Orange Cassidy's been working through niggling injuries, and then he loses to Moxley, gets a few weeks to relax and de-stress his body and get through those injuries to come back and then beat Fenix, who suffered a back injury last week.
Yeah. So not only are we going to get Cassidy to defeat Rey Fenix, but we are getting a title change on a Tuesday night, on a title Tuesday night that they showcased. Hey, this is all title fights, really big moments going to happen tonight. Title on the line. and they deliver with a title change. That's exciting. If you're watching pro wrestling, you're like, whoa, that doesn't happen very often, especially if you're watching more from a WWE eye point. You don't see title changes very often in the WWE
No, you
side.
don't.
So now you're watching, like, that's kind of interesting from a wrestling standpoint. I'm intrigued, right?
I mean, for me, it brings back Orange Cassidy. He had legitimacy with that title, longest title reign of that title, and he made the title even more legit than it was.
Yeah. So over on the NXT side of things, we're gonna get another rather long promo. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but essentially John Cena and Braun Breaker almost come to blows in the back. A lot of stuff going on there. They also show a vignette of Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyrie, or whatever her name is. I suck at her name, but of them training together and stuff like that. And they're kind of building up that story. And then there's an interview backstage with Tegan Nox and Valkyrie, saying that next week's NXT Women's Championship match versus Valkyrie versus Becky Lynch, what they're building up for next week. So there's a little bit on the NXT side that said, hey, this is why you should watch next week. Becky Lynch is our champion here, and she's wrestling this girl, and this is why you should care about it. So kudos to them. That's really good. And then it's another promo with Cody Rhodes and the Italian dudes, and they're going to do a battle royal next week to determine the number one contender for the tag team championships at Halloween Havoc.
Okay.
So once again, 2 promos using the legend saying, here's why you should watch next week. Not bad at all. Yeah. But those 4 promos or 4 things, that was a lot of time. The entire time that's happening, once again, on the other side of things, we're getting matchups. So we get a Wardlow squash match versus with Matt Sydal, who is a big deal name. I mean, if he's former WWE guy, killed it on the independent scene, good wrestler. And he's going to come out, and the returning Hangman, who returned last week, is going to come out and just beat him so bad the referee has to stop the fight.
You mean Wardlow?
Wardlow, sorry. What did I say?
Hangman.
Oh, Wardlow is going to, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Wardlow's going to completely come out there and crush him. Really, really quick, really, really easy. Wardlow then leaves to the crowd. We're seeing a different side of Wardlow where he's just pissed off.
Yeah,
he was gone for a while. Some people saying for mental health reasons, but he's not coming back happy, and he's looking like he wants to reign supreme once again. But to go back to the AEW side of things, because during these 4 segments we got that squash match, and now we're going to get another match against the former New Japan World Champion Jay White versus the former AEW World Champion, current 6-man tag team champion in Hangman Adam Page. And once again, this match is fantastic. I'm a Jay White mark, so I really love Jay White. So this match is cool. I'm not super huge on Adam Page, but it is what it is. He's a lot of people like him. Now, once again, this is where if you're like, well, who's this guy that interfered earlier? Now you're going to see Hangman showcase. You're going to understand because the commentary is going to tell you why Hangman's a big deal and who he's a part of and all of that stuff. They're going to set up that he's part of this stable called the Elite. And Jay White's part of Bullet Club Gold. So you're going to get all of that in this storyline in this match. They're telling you, even if it's your first time watching, you have an idea what's going on here.
And they even bring out that Hangman has never beaten Jay White.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a dynamic there. And then Swerve and his squad are then going to make an appearance because he screwed them early in the night. Swerve's going to come down and do the same thing. And that's going to cause a little bit of interference, cause a little confusion. And Jay White is going to once again defeat Adam Page. And good match. White made his way out to this match as well with the AEW championship that he stole from MJF a week ago. Page's right knee, exceptionally, they worked that right knee of Adam Page, that whole storyline. The Guns and Juice Robinson mocking him ringside was a lot of fun. Bullet Club Gold really showing off here. White kept working the knee. Juice Robinson then cut a promo when MJF then came out, and they did a Bullet Club Gold promo against MJF. This is where I'm going to say AEW, not a good move. This is where I'm going to say I'm not a huge fan of this. There is ways to get heat in professional wrestling. There's ways to get your cheap pop. Obviously, MJF is in on the joke. MJF has openly spoken about how It takes a lot to get under MJF's skin. He's someone who doesn't care. He's better than you, and he knows it. It takes a lot for the character of MJF to break down. So I get in that aspect why this was used, but still not a good look.
MJF has gone out and said that it was his idea. Yeah. It was his idea to use.
That's fine. But there was a situation where it was the wrestler's idea for wrestlers to use racial slurs in an independent scene, and the people involved were Kevin Steen, Excalibur, a lot of big names who are on TV now. And then during the cancel culture, it came out that this wrestler used an N-word in a promo at a black wrestler, but the black wrestler was in on it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You're in front of a live crowd. You're in front of people. That style of heat shouldn't be used. Anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobic stuff, racism is a really tough line to cross if you're going to use it in a wrestling promo. It's a tough thing to do.
And not only that, it's also everybody takes things differently.
Yes.
Like for me, when I looked at it in the eyes of that's what happened with MJF when he was being bullied. I didn't look at it from the anti-Semite sort of situation.
Well, he was being bullied for being Jewish, and they would throw change and quarters at him, which is hurtful. Like that's not cool,
because of the old saying that the Jews were tight with their money.
Yeah, that's not.
And now we're canceled.
Yeah, I mean, we're just saying what happened on TV. We're not agreeing. I'm personally not agreeing with it. I don't think it should have been done as an angle
situation. I'm just saying, like, that's what I saw it more on the bullying side of MJF rather than looking at it as anti-Semitic for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was bullying. That's what they were doing. Yeah. But the bullying they were using was using MJF's trauma of being bullied for being Jewish. And they went with anti-Semitism joke. Not a fan of it, but they set up for next week's Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal that will happen next week. So now we're getting a Battle Royal next week on NXT for the Tag Team Championships. We're going to get the returning Diamond Ring that MJF has been undefeated with the last 3 or 4 years. He's the only one to ever win it. Will MJF now, as the world champion, compete for the Diamond Ring? The Bullet Club says that they will win it, and they're going to take it away from him, and they're going to be the new representation of that ring.
So from what I got from that, they're doing a battle royal to determine who goes to face MJF.
Oh, okay, so that's how they're doing it? Yeah. Cool with that too. So whoever wins that battle royal then faces the Diamond Ring champion. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so basically it's like if, let's say, Juice Robinson wins the battle royal, then wins the Diamond Ring. Next year's Diamond Ring battle royal, Hangman wins, he then faces Juice Robinson.
Got you. Yeah. All right, so over on the NXT side, we're gonna get our first we're gonna get the match that was promised during the opening promo. So we get a 15-minute promo for a match that we're gonna set up later in the night. That's not even the main event. So we're gonna give you another match here. We're gonna give you Dragunov versus Dominic Mysterio for the NXT World Champion. Overall, I'm going to say this match was fantastic. Dragunov is super, super talented. Dominic is super, super talented. This is a banger match. I personally think if Cody's showing up, put some gear on. And this is, you should have probably fought Dragunov. I think that would have been a cooler match. No non-title. Cody beats Dragunov, but Dragunov shows that he can take the champion to the limit. I think that puts over Dragunov, and it gets Cody on TV. It gives him a purpose to be there rather than just playing GM. That's just my opinion. Yeah. But either way, this match was a banger. It's on the caliber of a Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson. It's an A+ match in my book. Very, very good. Distractions all over the place. LA Knight is out of place because he's wearing Timberland boots and his ring gear, not even in a ref outfit. Honestly, I thought LA Knight was more of a distraction being there because the crowd was doing the stupid yeah when two guys are in there absolutely killing
LA Knight in as a last minute thing.
Stupid. It was a bad move. I don't like it. Put a regular referee in. LA Knight had no factor in that match whatsoever. Just didn't like it. Plus, it makes him look super stupid that he knows that interference is going to be there the whole night because that's why he was put in that position. And there was interference everywhere. Like it doesn't make LA Knight look like he looks like a dummy. Yeah, you know what I mean. But anyway, all this is going down. And then I'm gonna blow this guy's name here. Trick, is it Trick Williams?
Yes.
Trick Williams comes out. I'm gonna be honest. You're talking about names coming out of NXT that are good and that can be big stars. Trick Williams is gonna be someone to keep an eye out. That guy, he's everything Booker T was back in the day, and then some, without the annoying voice, without that real, you know what I mean? Like, it's the only thing. Now, Booker T's voice was funny in promos and stuff, but God, I am not a fan of Booker T on commentary. It's like listening to Steve-O's podcast. I love Steve-O to death, but that raspy, I need a drink voice for 2 hours is too much for me. But Trick Williams is a mega star, and I respect Booker T. Booker T is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He's super talented, and for people to compare Trick Williams to Booker T at his young age is a big deal. He's got a great look. Everything about Trick Williams is fantastic, and he's going to come in and help Dragunov defeat Mysterio and retain his championship.
Yeah, but you're not wrong. Booker T is horrendous on commentary. Always has been. Even when he was doing it on SmackDown and stuff like that, I could never get into it.
Yeah. So we're going to get a women's breakout match next. We'll stay on the NXT side of things, and we're going to get Lola Vice with Elektra Lopez versus Deanna Palmer. Deanna Palmer. I hope I said that right. A lot of people didn't like this match, but I'm going to be honest. I thought this women's match across all the shows tonight, this was the better women's match. I think this is better than the women's match that we're going to talk about next on AEW. And I definitely think it was better than the match with Asuka and Perez. I think this is a good match. And this didn't get enough love. I thought they went out there and put together a good match. I thought they showed a lot of athleticism. I thought they showed they were really good in the ring. There was a little bit of sloppiness here and there, but for the most part, it was a 4-minute match around that mark. They didn't get a lot of time, but I thought as two people that you've never seen before, I thought they put on a decent match. I don't know why it's getting the hate it's getting. I thought it was fine. The crowd was super into it. JC Jane, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So that match goes on without a hitch, no interference. I thought if something was going to happen in this match, this is where I thought, in my opinion, all the eyes are on your product. 900,000 people are tuned into your product tonight. This is where you bring out Jade. This is where Jade comes in and she beats the dog shit out of one of these girls or both of them and says, oh, these girls don't look like either one of them can compete in this tournament anymore. Jade's here. I'm now in the tournament. I'll see you in the next round. And 900,000 people now see this megastar looking girl come out, dominate 2 to 3 people. If the manager wants to smoke, she'll get it too, and just come in and squash these two girls because this match, besides being a breakout match, felt out of place. And this is where Jade comes in and just dominates. Yeah. Dominates. Doesn't happen though, but the match itself was good. There's really nobody in that women's breakout thing that I look at and go, that's why I'm watching that tournament. Just being honest. Yeah. Jade would have elevated that. But anyway, we're going to go backstage again. NXT, JC Jane is with Chase U announcing that Andre Chase and Duke Hudson will be the number one contender in a number one contenders match next week. Brian Pillman Jr.'s son is going to be in a promo. It's the whole same promo we've been seeing for a while. A bunch of people come in to show respect to Asuka for essentially killing one of their top stars. And then Tiffany Stratton gets in there and gets into a little bit of an interaction with Asuka. Jumping back over to AEW side of things, we're going to get another title match here on the line with the Women's World Champion Saraya taking on the former 2-time champion in Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida lost her title in Wembley in a multi-women's match against Saraya. So they're going to square off again here tonight. In between these promos, there's a bunch of Toni Storm promos going throughout the night where Toni Storm is showcasing her new character. A lot of crazy things happen in there. This will come into play later on. Overall, not a bad match. I didn't hate it. I think if I was watching the Asuka Perez over and I didn't get the showcase match, I think this would have been the second best women's match of the night. But I thought the women's NXT showcase match was better than this title match. I will be completely honest. There was possible some interference here where Ruby Riott was going to come down. Ruby Soho was going to come down and get involved. to the Tony Storm coming out of the crowd, beating the hell out of her, throwing her out. No interference involved. The match is going to be clean. Saraya is not going to get her interference that maybe she wants that's going to help her through this match. And with that being said, Shida is going to become your first ever 3-time women's champion, beating Saraya on a title Tuesday and taking the AEW Women's Championship.
So in total, we've got 2 title changes on Title Tuesday on Tony Khan's birthday.
Yep.
Which, once again, as you said, does not normally happen on TV. You do not normally get a title change like that, especially when you're looking at the WWE branded show. Yep. You're not getting a title change. Like, how many times have we seen title matches on Raw and no title change hands?
It's almost to a point where you're so, and if you see a title match on a Monday or a third Friday, you're kind of like, well, this isn't going to mean anything, so I don't care. There's no chance we're going to see a title change. Where AEW throws them in there, and you're like, you never know. Like that's something you think about. You're like, is this the night they change the title? Like, because they have shown you that there's a reason why you should watch weekly television for them, because they're not afraid to throw a title change in there in between.
100%. Yeah.
Where WWE, not hating, but you see the world titles on the line on a Monday Night Raw, you're like, no chance. No chance.
Seth is retaining.
Yeah, no chance.
Like, it might be that they have someone, let's say Wardlow was over there, someone dominant, but Seth's still retaining.
Yep. Well, let's you want to stick with AEW here, or do you want to bounce back to NXT?
Let's bounce back to NXT on that one.
All right, so we're both at our main events of the night. NXT's main event is going to be Carmelo Hayes with John Cena and Braun Breaker versus Paul Heyman. It's a good match. Braun Breaker's good in the ring, does struggle a little bit on the mic, which is someone like a Paul Heyman would help him tremendously. But at the end of the day, there's going to Solo's going to come down, and John Cena and Solo are going to go at it. There's going to be a whole bunch of, once again, a lot of interference on both shows tonight. Just a lot of people making appearances and showing up. A lot of fuckery going on between the two shows. It's going to result in Carmelo Hayes defeating Braun Breaker by pinfall to earn a spot of the NXT Championship #1 contender match next week. Not a terrible match. Nothing about the match that I hate. It was what it was. But then the match looks like it's going to end. Braun Breaker beats up Carmelo Hayes a little bit. He's standing over his corpse. He's beating him up real good. The lights go out. Motorcycle Undertaker comes out, which I don't care what anyone says. If the Undertaker's come, I understand he ended the Dead Man. The Dead Man is never going to be seen again. I don't care about Biker Taker. I don't like the Taker to Biker. I never liked it. It's never going to be exciting to me. I respect Mark so much. I love the Undertaker, but it doesn't do anything for me. But the Undertaker is going to come down, and an Undertaker who struggles to have matches, who's an older man, who's no longer a dead zombie who has supernatural powers. He's a regular biker dude, is going to chokeslam and beat the absolute dog shit out of your biggest rising star in your NXT company. And that's how we go off the air.
I'll give one thing. Probably the best chokeslam Undertaker has done in the past 6 years.
Because Braun Breaker is extremely athletic and he got up super high for that chokeslam.
In 6 years, that is the best chokeslam that the Undertaker has done.
But that's
just my opinion.
I get when a legend comes back and it's cool and everybody wants to take the legend's finish. I get all that. It's really fun. It's a great time. But 900,000 people are watching your show and you feed them your #1 guy. Don't like it.
I don't know if you know. I don't know if you noticed.
Go ahead.
When the lights went out, just a smidge before the lights went out, if you watch back on the video, Braun Breaker is smiling.
Yeah. He's excited. Listen, Braun Breaker's going to work the Undertaker tonight in front of a crowd. He's super pumped. From a wrestling standpoint, that's super exciting. Undertaker's going to come out and he's going to chokeslam me. I'm taking an Undertaker move. That's awesome. Xavier Woods getting Stone Cold stunnered. People getting stunnered is exciting. You're taking a stunner from that guy. I get that.
But from
That's
a
so much fucking fun.
Of he's the bad guy, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, he just got squashed. Yeah,
Yeah.
he just got embarrassed by the older guy.
Yeah, from the visual of he's the bad guy, it doesn't look good that you're smiling that someone's about to come out and kick your ass.
Yep. So now we have on AEW side of things, Adam Copeland, the rated R superstar, versus Luchasaurus, the guy who no one thinks can put together a good match. Everyone hates on Luchasaurus. No one likes him because Jim Cornette doesn't like him. And he's going to come out and he's going to get an early start on Adam Copeland, and he's going to beat the dog shit out of him. He's going to get the early jump, and he is going to lay a beating on Edge, Adam Copeland, whatever you want to call him, for a large majority of this match. And it looks clean. It looks believable. It looks good. Luchasaurus is putting together a match with a legend. When people looked at this match, are like, oh, we're going to get Luchasaurus versus Edge for his first match back. Luchasaurus rose to the occasion tonight. He put together a fun match.
And for what it was designed to be, which was designed to be that Edge was going to, or Adam Copeland was being beaten down and destroyed, it was perfect for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And
it almost looked reminiscent to we watched earlier, where if you're going to go head to head, right? And the WWE eyes are going to be on the AEW brand and vice versa, because they want to see who's going to do what. You just watched Daniel Bryan get taken to the limit and almost lose unless there was interference by Swerve Strickland. So now Swerve Strickland's on your radar. Like, wow, that guy just took Bryan Danielson to the limit. Then you watch Jericho get manhandled by this just monster-looking dude in Hobbs, right? Then you see Edge, Adam Copeland, is getting destroyed by this dinosaur-looking Kane dude and just getting hammered. And you're thinking, yo, are all the WWE... And Saraya lost her title. Paige once again, lost her title.
It's from people who've been in the company for long term.
Yes.
Long term.
So you have all these talent that you may not be knowing because you're only watching because they're WWE names, and that's why you're like, well, I'll check out this show because there's WWE names on this card. And all the WWE guys are not having a good night tonight. And now the main event comes, and Luchasaurus is just taking it to Adam Copeland.
The only WWE guy that had a good night is Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, but I mean, he was taken to the limit. Like, he almost lost.
Even then, at the end of this match with Adam Copeland, Danielson comes out.
Yeah.
And gets involved. You get pretty much the entire faction, like all the different factions getting involved.
Yeah. Well, before we get too far into that, so the match is going on, a lot of stuff crazy going on. Ring aprons are off, steps are being used, everyone's going nuts. And then Nick Wayne gets involved. Christian gets up on the apron. He's going to give the title to Luchasaurus. Edge ducks underneath, takes the title from Christian, smacks Luchasaurus with it, takes the title, throws it back into Christian's hands, and Luchasaurus now turns around and looks at Christian like, you just hit me with that title.
Yeah.
Then he turns around, spear, 1, 2, 3. Adam Copeland walks out his debut with a win, but there's confusion. Christian now looks like he just hit his muscle of his team with a title. 100%. How is this going to Luchasaurus is a dinosaur. He can't comprehend basic information. He got hit with something, turns around, sees it's his mentor. What's going on? So some storyline being built there. And then I'll be honest, the end of the show did not do much for me. Then it just turned into an all-out brawl with the Blackpool Combat Club coming out, the Swerve Strickland family coming out, Bullet Club Gold coming out. Everybody just came out, and it kind of goes off the air with a giant melee scrum fight. Edge hits one more spear on Nick Wayne because Nick Wayne's been speared more than anybody in the last 3 weeks. And the show goes off the air.
And Danielson's got someone in a label lock.
All right, so that ending's a little better. Danielson has the label lock on Christian. Christian is tapping, which is a visual of will Christian lose his championship next week to the number one contender
in
Saturday.
Saturday
on Collision. will he lose his title coming up this Saturday if I tune in because Bryan Danielson has a LeBell Lock and he just made him tap in front of everybody. So builds to next week. Overall, that's your 2 shows. Match wise, more matches on the AEW side than the NXT side. NXT leaned heavily on their legends to come in and give you that nostalgia itch. There was moments where NXT did showcase that there's going to be stuff coming in the upcoming weeks to be excited for.
Yeah.
The women's tournament and the promo backstage essentially is the only 2 that really did that for me, with the promo saying Becky's going to wrestle next week and the Battle Royal coming up for Halloween Havoc and showcasing Halloween Havoc. But I'm going to be honest, besides that, there's nothing on that show that says I should keep tuning in to NXT because NXT stars did not look like they were showcased very well. On the AEW side of things, they stuck to a normal AEW show because Title Tuesday is not a gimmick. That's something that they have done previously on AEW where they will say titles are on the line. So it wasn't like they did this tonight just to scratch an itch and say, we're doing this. AEW stuck to a traditional AEW show.
100%.
But they showed you this is why you should tune in regularly to AEW because we're going to use our stars and anything can happen over here. Yeah, and that's kind of where WCW was beating WWE because there was anything can happen here. Where
while you still WCW, you still had the WWE guys at the top, but you had your homegrown talent still pushing, still fighting. Mm-hmm. The WCW were using cruiserweights to open their shows, and they created a division that got eyes on their product right from the get-go because you were seeing high-flying matches.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were seeing people provide entertainment, and it was like, holy crap, this is not what we see on the other network.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I thought overall both shows did not do a bad show. There wasn't one that was better than there wasn't one that absolutely sucked and the other one dominated. I thought if you're an NXT WWE person, the WWE side of things is going to help you scratch that itch with saying here's some legends. If you're an AEW fan, you're kind of standing on the mountain saying, well, we lost the ratings war, but this is why we're AEW. This is exciting for us. This is why we like this company. Everything about this show is the reason why. If you're an AEW fan, you're leaving that show thinking, we just hit a home run. That was a great show.
Yep.
NXT, if you're an NXT loyalist, I can't see being an NXT loyalist. I look at that show and say, well, I don't really like main roster. I'm bored. That's why I like NXT. I like the new stars. I like this. Everything about NXT that makes me excited to watch NXT. That wasn't an NXT show. Most of your stars were delegated to promos, and the rest of your show was your stars getting beat by main roster. And if you're an NXT guy, you remember a couple of years ago in Survivor Series where NXT went to the main roster and dominated and won and dominated Survivor Series, and NXT felt like it was a serious show again.
And look at the fact of when they were over in Saudi Arabia, the NXT guys stepped up and took over SmackDown for the episode.
Yeah.
And it made it one of a strong episode.
Yeah. I didn't see that as a thing tonight on the flip side of things. I thought it was actually the quite opposite. I thought to myself, it's like, oh, this wasn't what I don't think NXT talent benefited as much as they should have tonight on this show.
Now the big question is, do you think next week they can sustain the ratings that they had?
Do I think NXT will be a 900,000 watch show? Not a chance.
No, I agree with you there because I think part of the reason it was 900,000 people watching was to stir shit with AEW.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like it's smart. It's smart. Do what you got to do. But if I just feel like I question. If you're an honest wrestling fan and you watch wrestling shows, to be honest about it, I don't see where tonight on NXT was as a wrestling show better than the other one. From a wrestling standpoint, I'm just being honest. But it is what it is. I'm not here to tell you which one you thought was better. That's why I left it in the comments for you to do that. But let us know. We're going to be wrapping up here. We just hit an hour mark. Make sure you go and you follow Raz on all his social media. His Linktree and his YouTube channel are below. He's going to be doing a lot more content, maybe joining me on this side of things. I'm going to be doing show reviews as well as classic reviews of old pay-per-views, as well as some indie show reviews. So I'm going to kind of take us off screen for a second here, or actually I could just do it this way. But I'm going to showcase a little bit what we got going on coming up in the future. So if you're interested, my wrong screen. Whoops. Where the hell is it? Oh, that's background. I need overlay. Where's overlay?
That's the one they have to pay for, ABJ.
I'm dying over here. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't know how much longer I could be paying for any of this stuff because your boy's broke as a joke. So if you want to support ABJ, I got the podcast that drops every Thursday, as well as a bunch of content all coming to the channel. So you get to see some things like this popping up. So maybe we'll do some classic WCW reviews. Let me get rid of that banner. You'll see some classic WCW show reviews, maybe some independent wrestling show reviews, some ECW, some classic WWE, some GCW watch-alongs or show reviews. Maybe we'll do some Collision. There's a lot coming up. Maybe we'll add some Impact to our arsenal. I'm mostly just showing off the logos, I think, at this point. But yeah, I have a lot of things in the works, a lot of things I want to start doing. People seem to like when I cover other brands and showcase more, I guess, what's on weekly television and weekly wrestling and not just interviewing people. So I'll try to bring that content to you guys instead of giving it everywhere else on the internet like I've been doing for the past 3 to 4 years. So yeah, so if you want more ABJ takes on that, you can catch me here on the YouTube. I have been doing a lot of TikTok lives as well and talking wrestling with people, so it's a lot of fun. I don't know, I'm enjoying it. It makes me want to watch more weekly wrestling, so I seem like I'm educated when I do talk. But hang here on the ABJ channel, as well as go over to Raz's channel and check it out.
Yep. And also make sure you check out the Pro Wrestling Tees for ABJ merchandise.
Pro Wrestling Tees and Brainbuster Tees were just added to the arsenal. I'm going to be honest, if people go and buy merchandise from that website, thank you. That's super sick. But I'm mostly on there because people go on those websites and then peruse around and see other podcasters and other content creators. And I just want my name to be on there so it's seen. If someone buys it, awesome. You know what I mean? But we do have the Teespring as well as the TeePublic, where all of my stuff is on there, and all of my logos are on there, not just the one. So if you want other logos, your best bet is to go to the TeePublic or the Teespring.
100%.
All right. Well, Teespring is, you're going to get more exclusive items with the ABJ logo that you see up above Raz's head. TeePublic, you're going to be able to get all of the logos on what they offer on that website. And then the other two are just kind of out there just for promotional stuff.
Yeah.
But that'll do it. Anywhere else you want to get plugged or anything you want to say here, Raz?
Nothing at the moment. I got to bugger off shortly. So,
all right. Well, we did it. Yeah. We banged out an hour. I thought it flowed well. Let us know what you thought in the comments, whether you're watching this live. I'll put your comments up as the stream is closing here of what you thought of the show. Leave a review. Tell me what you thought. If you're watching this back on the YouTube side of things, if that's what you're watching, or Facebook or Twitch, leave in the comments what you thought. Talk along with us. I will respond to those comments, so they will not go in vain. And follow me on all social media. Let's talk more professional wrestling. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been the NXT AEW review. We'll see you guys next time. This has been an ABJ podcast production.